Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. We're here back together with our Cafecito Power Breaks. So I hope that everybody has their cafecito. I know I have mine here. And I'm so excited with our guest today, Clara Angelina Diaz Anderson. I'm just so excited to have you in our cafecito and to talk about this very important subject, which is about coaches and mentors and something that I didn't know even existed, to be honest, like over five, no, maybe around 6, 7 years ago. And they're so critically important to help us really be the best that we can be. Not that we can't do it on our own, but definitely having, a team that supports you and people that can help you get there in a faster way, get there in a not as painful way, right? Because sometimes it is a little bit painful. It is so critically important, and people just see it as something that maybe it's not for them. It's like this is something that maybe it's done by other people, but we don't realize how important it is to have coaches and mentors to really get us to wherever we want to go, because there's of all sorts and they can help us with all different things. So I'm just excited about having this conversation with you. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Ileana, for inviting me. Thank you, everyone that's joining us. Yeah, coaching. Oh my God. Like you said, we don't have to reach success by, I use the word haphazardly so much, right? Like it's trial and error. And in Espanol, contronazos. And like there are people that work with folks to help them figure out, what do you want to achieve? What do you need in order to achieve that? Who are the people? What is missing? How can I support you through the natural resistance that happens when you are wanting change? And it can be in anything from wanting to change countries to wanting to change communities, organizations, in your own life. And that is what coaches do. And so, like you said, when I first discovered coaching, I learned that so many of top leaders have coaches. Like the most successful people, they sometimes they have multiple coaches. And so why not us? Why not the everyday woman? Why not Latina women? Like if I'm going to bet my money on anybody, it's going to be on Latina women. And why not us also have coaches? And so I am on a mission to, not just be that coach, but to create other coaches in the world that can help those who I believe need it the most.
And that's a wonderful mission that you talk about. And I want to tap a little bit more on that. But before that, you touch on something important that you said. Well, you said something important that is like we hear of these, successful people in C-suite level positions in different big organizations. They're the ones that have coaches, right?
Right.
And it's not something for or other people that have coaches, and it's not something for me. However, if we think about, for example, when you want to train for physically, right, like go to the gym, in order to do it and to do it right and effectively, you hire a coach. Like that's what they're there for, to help you be, do the exercise good, to keep you accountable, to keep you moving forward, to improving, to increase your strength, and to be able to accomplish your goals, right? From a sports perspective, it's the same thing, right? It's become sort of a natural thing that we see. Okay, if I want to be good at this sport, you hire a coach to help you based on their expertise,
Right.
their knowledge, all of these things to be able to get there. But we don't see coaches as somebody that we need from a professional perspective or even a personal perspective as well, right? We haven't sort of made those connections. So can you sort of help us through understand the different modalities, like what can we find coaches to who, what, where, when, like all of that, if you can help
Yeah.
a little bit with that.
Absolutely. Before I talk to you about the different modalities, I want to talk about, what you said, like sometimes we think about, if sports people have coaches, and if we want to train for a marathon, we have coaches. But most of us that are watching this, right, this is United Latinas, right? Why don't we naturally think of, if I want to achieve something big in life, why not get somebody to help me? Right. And so it's about us really thinking about the mentality of thinking that we have to do it alone, right? And how we need to break away from that and really allow ourselves permission to be supported and to invest in ourselves. So that's kind of big meta mentality around open up our minds and our hearts to receiving support. And so different types of coaches. There's coaches for everything, right? When I first started coaching, I started as a life coach. And as a life coach, I would help people to really look at different dimensions of their life. Have them look at their finances, their spirituality, their career, their relationships, even like what they were doing for fun, or how their physical space was affecting them, and really having people think about, how am I doing in these areas? What do I want to make better? Really supporting people in really developing the ability to change and to create intentional change. And then I moved on to really doing more executive coaching, where I helped individuals really think about how the way that they were showing up really affects the way that they're able to influence and their performance at work. And the thing about that is that they both intertwine, right? The way that you are in your personal life affects the way that you show up at work. And then I started working with politicians. I started working with attorneys. I started working with higher level individuals. And I saw, especially in most, I've been very, very lucky to work with a lot of women of color, a lot of Latinas, very successful women, to do everything from make more money, have bigger influence, grow their companies, but then also to find inner fulfillment and to also undo the chains of internalized oppression. And sometimes what many of us don't even realize, that we may be that we are living in a world that may not be designed to help you succeed. And so sometimes you think it's all about, if only I work harder, if only I show up earlier. But there are so many dimensions to who we are as human beings. And I think that as a coach, what I love to do is not just help people achieve goals, but is really to help them transform, to see that they have the power, not just to affect their lives, but to affect whole communities and the world at large.
Yes, and
Long answer to your
no, no,
question.
but thank you, because you touch on a lot of great points, and I also want to come back to something that Tanya. Hi, Tanya. Thank you for being here with us today. Is mentioning very important in the chat, right? It's not only about coaches, it's mentors, it's also sponsors, and I want to come back to that point, because I think that's also something that we're not used to as
Yeah.
Latinas in our career to have. But and Tanya also mentions, right? Not everybody fits, and you sort of touched on as well. Not every coach is for everything, right? The way you don't go to, again, to the gym and have a coach that trains you for things that you do in a gym, versus if you want to do a sports, you need a different kind of coach. It's the same thing here. Like you talk about, like you have all of these different aspects of your life, and you go specifically to the one or many that, or of the places in your life that or the areas in your life that you want to work with. So how do you go about finding a coach? Because there are so many out there. There are some that are very generalistic. There are some that are very, like, I'm just focused on, to your point, I'm just doing executive, or I'm just doing life coaching, or I'm just doing, speaking, or whatever it is that you're looking for. Then how do you go about finding them and understanding, are they the right fit for me?
Right. Okay. Well, that's a great question, Ileana. I wish I could see the chat where what everyone else is writing is I can't see that. Only you can. Is that right? You're muted.
Sorry, it's on the right. Well, we can continue.
Okay, we'll continue. So how to go about finding, oh, I see it, I found it. Hi, Tanya. Thank you for joining us. How to go about finding a coach. So first is trying to determine like which area of my life do I actually need the help with, right? Is it in my business? Is it in, my career, positioning myself for the next thing? Is it more in my personal life? And so I would first start by asking people that about personal experience, like, hey, has anybody ever worked with a coach? I have a directory of coaches coaches that I have trained, that I have certified, that have gone through my classes, um, that I know very well that I can recommend. But I will start by asking people that who have possibly used a coach. You can also do the good old Google search, right? And Google specifically for like, coach for this certain type of issue. And so, what you want to do is make sure that you work with a coach that really understands you specifically. That's why I'm so invested in creating coaches that come with a diverse cultural background. And you want to make sure that you get a clarity call, or they call them a connection call with that person, and tell them what you're looking for, tell them what are the obstacles, what's going on. And see, a good coach is probably going to give you like one or two things to do right away. And you're also going to see like, is there chemistry, is there a connection there? Because this is someone that you're going to be working with for a little while. When we are talking about coaching, it's not just about, oh, it's one session and that's it. I usually work with folks between 3 6 months, a year, multi-year contracts. So you want to really find somebody that you can develop a long-term relationship with. So those are three ways. Ask someone. You can contact me because I have a network of coaches. Google, LinkedIn, but always make sure that like you take the time to really connect with that person and find a couple and see, interview them and see who you connect with the most.
I think that's great piece of advice, and I would add to that also ask them like what their programs are, or how do they go about their coaching engagements, because different people have different styles, and then you can also ask them to talk with past clients. Right. As a coach myself, I know that I've
Yeah.
had clients that, or potential clients that reach out to me and say, hey, I want to speak to somebody that has gone through a similar experience like I have, that has gone through your program as a
Right.
coach, so that I can also see if that resonates with me, right? Like, don't be afraid and to ask for that, because it's an investment, but it's a good investment. If you do it with a good coach, you'll really get a lot out of it, but you need to do your work. So thank you for sharing those. um,
Absolutely.
and in terms of, you talked about the way that you show up, and the way that you go about your life and your career really impacts everything, right? And for us, it's very easy to see others and be able to see, where others are struggling, to see where others might be doing something that's not helping them. But for us, it's very difficult to do that, right? It's very difficult to see us in the mirror, and we might know that something's not working, but we're not sure like what it is. And therefore it might be difficult to be able to identify, I need a coach that can help me here. I just know that this is not working, but I'm
Mhm.
not sure what it is that I need, what it is that's not working, and that can also create some self confidence issues, right? Because you start
Right.
feeling that you are wrong, that you're not good enough, and all these other inner critic voices that especially many of us have.
Mhm.
What would you suggest as some tips to at least try to identify, where do we need help with, or what could it be that we're struggling with, so that then we can go ahead and look for a coach that can help us there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ileana. So the first thing is, if you are experiencing discomfort and pain in any area of your life, and you are not where you want to be, and you're feeling like, wow, sometimes I don't know how I'm going to go about that. Like, I don't know how I'm going to land my next job, or I don't know how I'm going to grow my business. The thing is that you don't have to feel helpless, because there is someone out there that can support you. And so if you're feeling that sense of like, I want to be somewhere other than where I am, and I don't know how to do that, that would be a great time to look for a coach. If you are feeling stuck, just like overall stuckness in your personal life, in your career, in your profession, in transitioning from your role, in transitioning from a relationship, from really anything, it's like an additional support that you can get to help you really move forward, and to help you also define. You don't even have to know where you want to go. You just have to know that you want to be somewhere other than where you are. And the coach, together with the coach, you can really work on developing that vision for you, and a strategic plan, and a developmental plan, and like, and really supporting you much better than any best friend than any best friend can. You mentioned like, wait, it's like kind of knowing the difference between like having a mentor. I love to share with people what's the difference between like a mentor, a therapist, and a coach, right? Like a mentor, like it's already where you want to be, right? Like, oh, that person has already achieved what I want. But sometimes, like, you may want to achieve more than your mentor, or something completely different than your mentor. And you also want to have that confidential space, because sometimes people have mentors and they want to like show up in their best light to that mentor, because they want their mentor to be able to, speak their names in rooms where they may not have access. So you're not being your completely full, authentic self, or bringing, your challenges. So, the coach can really help you in that contained way of saying, hey, like, for 6 months, we're going to work on helping you achieve this specific goal. While therapy, where you can do a lot of the same things that coaching can do, there is no end goal. It is ongoing, and it's processing, and it's going back to your past. The coach may only go to your past in order to grab something from there that's going to help you to propel you forward. And so if you're really looking for something that's like, okay, forward facing, goal specific, that's where coaching comes in. Eliana, I'm actually able to see the chat now, and I'm seeing some questions in there
Yes.
around.
I was going to ask you
Yeah,
that next, because I think they're asking, how do they start if people are interested in becoming a coach?
yeah, yeah.
How do they do that?
Yeah, oh my God. So when I before COVID, and I used to do a lot of speaking engagements, and that's the first thing people would come to ask me. It's like, oh my God, Clara, how did you become a coach? I want to become a coach. And so based on so many questions, that's why I created my institute, to really help people become coaches. So I have a whole coaching certification program. I also teach executive coaching and leadership coaching strategies at Harvard in the continuing ed school. So you can start with those introductory courses, or you can, go on my website or send me a message, and I'm happy to talk to you about how to start that process. You got to start with like some form of like foundational course, and it's clarifying.com, my website. That's my old website. My new one, it's clarafying.com. But anybody watching here can just feel free to send me a message. You have to start with some form of like foundational course that can really build up, because you can do anything from like just take a minimal course to going all the way to like being a master coach, which will take you some years to do. But I'm happy to support anybody that's interested in doing that.
I think it's something important to keep in mind, if you want to be a coach, or if you want to hire a coach, right, is make sure that you take, if you want to be a coach, like Clara says, like go with somebody certified that can get
Yeah.
you, to through a certificate program of sorts. There are many out there. And if you hire a coach, understand their credentials, right? Like
Yes.
coaches, like many other professionals, there's the different certificates that are out there. Make sure that you understand what their credentials
Right.
are, so that you know that they have the tools and the strategies and the frameworks to be able to support you. I think that that's critically important, right? It's not only about your ability to connect with people, it's about having like all of these different resources available for people. So thank
Absolutely.
you. I think that's very important to
Yeah.
mention. Um, and then you were touching on mentors, you know, the difference between coaches and mentors, and I do want to just before we get to the end of it, ask you a couple more questions in terms of the sponsors and the advisors. If you
Yeah.
want to touch it like briefly on and who are they and how, because we need all of these. We need all
We
of
do.
them like behind us, besides us, in front of us. How, like, who are they and how do we get to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, we mentioned mentor, right, is already where you want to go, right? A sponsor, right, is somebody that is going to has actively agreed to propel you forward, right? To really speak your name in rooms where you may not have access, that you know for sure. You're like, I can contact that person, and they're like they are going to speak my name, they're going to support me, they're going to connect me to resources, very similar to a mentor. An advisor, right, is a person that just is going to give you expert advice. It's going to tell you what to do, right? A coach is going to help you kind of develop through questions and maybe a little bit of adjustment, but more through questions, really draw out of you, right, where you want to go, what are the solutions that you are willing to employ. But an advisor will tell you what to do. So if you want to be told what to do, that's one level, right? But if you really want to develop those skills for yourself for the long haul, you right, that's coaching. But we need them all, right? We need the advisors, we need the coach, we need the mentor, we need the sponsor. So really, you watching this, like, give yourself permission to have like your own executive board of support as an individual, as your brand. Your people love calling themselves a brand, but as a person, as a professional, having this very intentional group of people, a coach, an advisor, mentors, multiple sponsors, multiple mentors, multiple coaches, um, receive as much help as you more than you need. Honestly, that's my rule of thumb, is get more help than you think you need.
Absolutely. And Clara, you have an incredible list of coaches at United Latinas. We also like that's what we do, right? We bring people together of different levels of things that they do and expertise and lived experiences. So also join United Latinas. We also have an incredible list of coaches. Clara is one of our members and coaches as well. So just reach out because I think
Yeah.
it's not something that we can do on our own. Well, we can do it on our own, but it's just going to take longer to
Yeah.
get to where we want. Definitely having this group of people around you is going to help you. So feel free to like reach out. And the last question that I think it's very important is on the investment, because I see a lot of people and even myself, like I've been there and I've done that, right? In terms of, okay, you're there, you want to coach, and then you see that there's an investment behind it and that stops you from moving forward.
Right.
And I have now learned that that's actually, it's something that we have to do, and stopping it's just delaying something that will give us the rate of investment is going to be significantly higher than what we think. So what do you recommend in those cases?
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a real, Latinas are paid, a lot less than our, male white counterparts. That's real, right? But um, everything comes at a cost, right? We spend money on everything, and so it's really internalizing the fact that you're worth it. Like, you're worth the investment. You are your best investment. You can also, a lot of people do not know that they can actually ask their job to pay for a coach to pay for an external coach. And so if you find a coach, that coach can actually help you in really figuring out, like, what is the language? How do I really present this to my boss in a way that they will be willing to pay for it if you work for an organization? I'm always happy to help people do that, and craft scope of work and things like that. But also, if you find a coach, right, you can work with them on a payment plan. I'm not asking people to get into debt or anything like that, but sometimes, hey, you have to. You do it for education all the time, and so you can work on a payment plan. But you're worth it. Like, you need the help. Every single person that I have helped, I mean, I work with clients. I have long-term clients. And so I am a product of coaching myself. I have a coach. I've had many coaches. And so it's just to really know that you are worth it. And where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think you mentioned something important, right? Like, we are coaches and still we have coaches because we
Yes.
recognize the benefits of having somebody that can keep you accountable, that can, give you that objective perspective, that can help you overcome, different challenges that if not, you would just go around in circles
Right.
and not get out of it, and help you just be faster and more effective and more efficient in getting to where you're going versus what the time it would take to do it on your own. Like, I remember when I started my business, it took me maybe 18 months for the beginning part, but once I invested in my business coach, oh my God, it was like 3 months, and things were just going, crazy. So it is an investment, but it is a positive investment that you'll see that benefit back in no time. Clara, any closing remarks before we go to the next thing today?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ileana and I, we are both products of this. I'm sharing this with you because, like, if I could do anything different for my earlier self, for my childhood self, is to have gotten a coach, have gotten as much help as I could, and gotten away from the mentality that I need to do it alone or that I have to truck through something. Reaching out, getting help, opening yourself up to that is just extremely important to get to that next level of success. And especially for us Latinas, really renewing, our confidence, to really know that, like, we got this, we can make it, but we need help. Um, it's just so important. Last thing is, I mean, opening yourself to endless possibilities is really what coaching can do for you. And I know it sounds like wow, but that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is. And also, like I said, I'm inviting you to join us at United Latinas and this incredible community of people and women who are just going to be there for you. You're not on this journey alone. So be a part of this incredible community. And also, I invite you to take a look at our events on our website. We have our summit coming up next week on 3/23, which is just a half a day of incredible speakers that are going to continue to share their journeys, their passions, and how they've been able to accomplish through coaches as well, and many other things, have been able to accomplish great things. And then we have our leadership meeting where everybody's invited, so where they can learn more about United Latinas and all the benefits that you can have from becoming a part of this community. That's coming up the following week. And then the following week, we have Maritza Coscarelli, who is also a coach, and she is focused on leadership presence and how to really build a strong leadership presence so that everywhere you show up, you stand out with confidence and you're able to speak up. So you won't want to miss that one. That one is scheduled for the first Thursday in April. And we have many more events coming up, so check them out on our website. Clara, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited, and we'll continue definitely the conversation moving forward, because there's so much more to talk about.
Thank you, Ileana, and thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.